Good afternoon. A warm welcome to our Conversations program. My name is Emily Butler. I'm the Conversations curator here at Art Basel. We're honored to welcome the legendary artist Michelangelo Pistoletto with us this afternoon. Michelangelo, can you hear us? Suspense? Yes. Hello. Wonderful.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, welcome. So Michelangelo will discuss his concepts for responsible and sustainable social transformation through art through his long-term project Cittadellarte, Fondazione Pistoletto, Biella, along with director Paolo Naldini. The talk will be moderated by art historian Manuel Fada. And we're very grateful that even though Michelangelo was unable to travel to Basel, he is joining us online today, so welcome. Later this year, the Fondazione will be launching the third Paradise Award in support for the UNHCR, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees based in Geneva. And we're also very grateful for the collaboration with the Centre des Arts Ecolint and ASMI, the Art with Social Measurable Impact Association, to present the event to you today. Finally, thank you. Please do not miss Michelangelo's really impressive show within a show in our unlimited sector here at Art Basel. So please make sure you catch it during your visit. The conversation will last approximately 50 minutes, so we'll have 10 minutes for questions at the end. We'll be passing a mic around the room, and we'll also be checking online. So for those audiences watching us online, please feel free to pop your questions in the chat, and we'll attempt to convey some of those questions. So I'm going to hand over to Manuel to jump straight into the conversation. Please give our speakers a very warm round of applause and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you. Hello. Can you hear me? Yes? Yep. Okay. Hello, Michelangelo. Hello, Paolo.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. Thank you. Hello to all of you. Let me first tell you that I am honored and happy to be here with you today. It is in all modesty that I accepted to participate. And so, the question we all ask, is it still necessary to present Michelangelo Pistoletto? An immense career, exhibitions all over the world, permanent objects, an exceptional vitality, an extraordinary desire for transformation and emancipation. We know that for Michelangelo Pistoletto, art is a way, real, concrete, to change the world, to change life. So, Michelangelo, you were born in 1933. We all know that you were one of the figures of the Arte Povera, which was not a movement, but an attitude, sorry? Okay. Very early in the 60s, you used performance, video art and theater with the aim of showing the unity of art and everyday life. Your work is crossed by the question of the real and its representation. For you, art, of course, has a critical function for the artist, for the viewer, and plays a major role in society. It is not a simple entertainment. Then you move on to art as the protagonist of a responsible transformation for society with Progetto Arte, but also Love Difference and the Third Paradise. You say to Philippe Dagen from Le Monde in 2008, just look at where the world is. It takes a big U-turn. Progress has led us to believe that anything is possible. We have to reconsider everything. Reorganize everything differently. The avant-garde today must turn around. Otherwise, we will be crushed. It is absolutely necessary to take a distance. Science must stop thinking exclusively about discoveries, but gives humanity the possibility of surviving. We need a science of conservation and find a passage to a new civilization, what I call the third paradise. Dear Paolo Naldini, you are Chief Executive Officer at Cittadellarte Fondazione Pistoletto since 2000. What is a huge, huge role. But not only, you are a writer, intellectual, you invented the term Demopraxia and its conceptual development in reference to the Rebirth Forum, concept that we will be part of one of the questions we will ask you. So, Michelangelo, can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, in 2003, you drew up a symbol, the third paradise, which immediately wanted to be a proposal for man and humanity, and which you summarized in a formula, 1 + 1 makes 3. Can you explain it to us?
Hello, good day to everybody. We can see, probably you can see behind me the sign of the third paradise on the wall of Cittadellarte. Can you see, no? This is made with a line that is crossing 2 times, and it creates three circles. The 2 opposite circles, voila, the 2 opposite circles represent all the differences, all the contraposition, all the elements that are in conflict. In the central circle, you have the combination, the connection of all these differences that you find in the 2 opposite circles. And in that center, all contrasts come together and produce something that didn't exist before. So it is the circle where the creation happened. The creation is always made by the combination of 2 elements. That is the duality. 1 and 1 makes a duality. This duality connected in the center produce the third element, that is the 3, the third element that is the creation, and at the same time is the balance and equilibrium. It is the equilibrium. It is the harmony between the opposites. This is the meaning of that symbol. When we say third paradise, we speak about a third passage, a third moment in the society, having 2 previous moments. The first is the first paradise, when we were totally included in the nature. The second is this artificial paradise that is born after the capacity of human being to invent and to create. And so it is the artificial, to make art. Art is the basic word to form the word artificiality. The artificial word is made by art. Art is responsible of this second word. Today, we have a big responsibility because the artificial world is destroying, is degrading the natural world. So we have to pass to the third phase of the humanity, that is the third paradise, that has to be created in between nature and artifact.
Excellent, thank you. Can you tell us more about the concept of Progetto Arte, which is a manifesto written in 1994? Can you tell us about its birth and its development, and how it is a fundamental project for the future?
Progetto Arte is the way to practice that symbol, the symbol of the creation, and the symbol of the third paradise. It is Progetto Arte is I did Progetto Arte as a manifesto that I published in Pistoia, and it means that an artist today take responsibility of connecting all the different elements that form the society, from politics to economy, from religion to school, from architecture to fashion. All what is part of the social structure has to be connected between art. Art has to be the element of connection that make the transformation through all the different elements already existing. We have to use this project as a common project. A project that bring us to the possibility of making a creation all together.
Thank you. A question for Paolo Naldini now. You have been the director for years of Progetto Arte, Cittadellarte and the Pistoletto Foundation. Could you talk about your role and commitment? Can you explain us in all dimensions what is Cittadellarte and the Pistoletto Foundation, please?
Okay, I will try. Thank you. Guten Tag, buongiorno, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here. I would like to thank you for having me, and I would like to thank Christina Davis from Swiss for UNHCR, Simona Mazzitelli, who is here with us today. She is an ambassador of the Third Paradise, which is a big role. Perhaps I will have the chance to tell you a little bit more about what it is, but just to let you know, it's the way that everybody can participate to what Michelangelo has just told us about. And of course, Isabelle Müller from Centre des Arts Ecolint, and my friend and colleague Saverio Teruzzi, who is here with us. He is the coordinator of all these 200 and more embassies. But I will come to your question. Michelangelo has told us about this wide project. And where do you start from? Probably the school was the best and still is the best answer. We need to learn how do we do it. And we will find out that somebody is already doing it in her own way, in her own locale and context. And so she will become like a testimonial or a mentor for a school, a wide open school from every locality of the world. I have traveled a lot, before COVID, of course, and that allowed me to meet hundreds of artist collectives and activists who were already practicing what Michelangelo is wishing for. There is art to change the world. Also, I mean, it's not only art to express oneself, it is also that, because we're not putting away and throwing away anything from the past. 1 and 1 makes 3, not 0 and 1 makes 3. So we take from the past what we have learned. So there are things like the capacity of the art to create autonomy and freedom for everybody. And that we need to maintain. But it's not all there. Now, more and more we realize it is time that we take the role, as Pistoletto was saying in his own words, to connect all the environments where humans are working, but not just to make a big happening or a party together, but to take care of the world itself. It's a gigantic reconciliation process that, believe it or not, we must take. Michelangelo in the 90s was a forerunner, a visionary. Now, it's not visionary anymore to say that we must take care of the planet, of one another, of the life on this planet, on the ocean, of how we produce, how we wear, how we eat. And now you have it. Now you have the curriculum for your school. You don't have to create greater, complicated things. You start from the basic needs of every person everywhere. We eat, we wear, we move, we need objects. All of these environments are areas where it is now necessary, but also, I think, wonderful. Because when I was young, in my early years of youth, in the 80s, it would appear that everything had been done. So you were a young man or woman, you would step on the social floor and claim for a position in the world, and it would be like, you know, look, we are taking care of everything with the elders, the grown-ups. You as a young man, you need only to look at what we're doing. That was a bit frustrating, also because things were not so wonderful. You had war in Yugoslavia. Now we have war in Ukraine. But let's not forget that 25 years ago, we were bombing people's weddings in Yugoslavia, in former Yugoslavia. We had already total visibility of what the climate crisis was about. No? So the whole thing was very much clear. Now, I said, it is also wonderful because it's a call for all of us, in any age, but for the youth. I can see an unbelievable enthusiasm in the youth who now are aware that they are needed. We need them. Not only them, we also need any one of us, all the ambassadors on the third paradise. There will never be enough. So I think I try to answer your question of what Cittadellarte is. It's basically a school. Then, of course, we produce our own projects, and we perhaps will tell more about it in the next minutes.
So, Paolo, Cittadellarte is a school, an academy, an exhibition space, provide residencies for artists, but represent also art that meets society. It's the Rebirth Forum. It's also Demopraxia. It's the person who wants to be an author of his own life. Paolo, could you talk about the Rebirth Forum and tell us what is Demopraxia, please?
As I anticipated, we realized people were already taking care or ruling their own small life. They would do it in their working environment, for example. They would have a restaurant, or they would work in a hospital, or in a wider or big company. And in that environment, they would make decisions or contribute to make decisions that would have a tremendous impact on their lives. Sometimes these decisions would give them heaven or hell. Most probably even more than the government could do. So what we really were faced by is the government of our democracies is already happening within our own small communities. We use the expression communities of practice, no? But then how do you orient all of this effort that constitutes the world? Because the world is a work, is an artwork for the bad or the good of it. It doesn't come as it is. We have made it, and we every day make it as it is. So how do you bring together all these efforts? And in that occasion, it's been extremely beneficial for us to work with United Nations. We were working in Geneva in 2014 on sustainable fashion, specifically with the forest industry, whose guidelines on sustainability were being written by United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. And in that opportunity, we got to know about the UN SDGs. the big agenda on sustainability. Okay, in such a way, we found like a polar star that could orient like a magnetic compass. And the compass is there on the Louvre's pyramid. It's like the magnet in the compass that shows us the perspective, the direction. That is not anymore a perspective of conquer, but it's a perspective of reconciliation. And United Nations Agenda 2030 on sustainability gives us loads of areas of impact. Also gives us a lot of hints and allows for us to come together, even in very different countries. We've been working in Turkey, in Indonesia, in Cuba very much, in Hungary, and in Italy, of course, in the United States. So countries whose background and culture are very different, religions and traditions are very different. So to talk about some things could be a way to divide ourselves. But the agenda and the reconciliation effort is universal. The third paradise, Michelangelo has brought it to us in the early 2000s, but the very idea of connecting oppositions to create is ancient and universal. We had kind of forgotten it. It was kind of out of the focus, and the vision from Pistoletto allowed to put it under the spotlight and make of it the most important project we can make in our life.
Maybe you want to introduce the term of mythopoetical, or it's not the moment?
Sorry, to over?
Do you want to introduce the term of mythopoetical?
Yes.
Or
yes, thanks.
It's not the moment?
Yes, thank you for asking me. We're talking about myths now. The symbol is a symbol. Symbols work on the imaginary. Artists often have given us visions, images that have helped us to catch concepts that otherwise our actual brains would have had problems to have a grip upon. So making myths has always been in history a way for communities to come to terms with very complex genealogical foundational mythologies, histories, concepts. Where do myths come from? Obviously, they come from us. One day, a group of people or one person generates a narrative, an image that within a certain time and with specific steps become everybody's heritage, like a common good. And the third paradise in itself plays also this role, to give us a new myth, a myth for the third millennium, with an image, with a wording, with a concept. And without that, I guess it would have remained out of the spotlight in the obscene. Obscene means out of the scene. So it was kind of obscene. The ability of the art to bring from the rejected obscenity into the everyday's conversation, if not even planning, of our own working and actions. So mythology or mythopoetics is an activity that has been very relevant in our world, in our work in Cittadellarte. It cannot remain there, cannot remain a symbol, and that's why there is all the Demopraxia and all the other projects that we are engaged upon.
Thank you. Question for Michelangelo now. Art and creativity are means or ways to build a responsible and sustainable social transformation. Is this the role of the artist?
Paolo?
I repeat?
The role, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes, very well.
Mi sentite? Ok.
Sentite.
the role of the artist is to develop the capacity of working with the imagination. We have to imagine something before do it. So now I think the artist can help to imagine a new world before do it. But the artist never stop just on the imagination without doing. The artist has always to produce a work. Otherwise, the work of art doesn't exist. For me today, the work of art is not anymore my personal, individual product. It is a product that we have to do, starting from the concept of duality. Duality means two person, but you can multiply all the duality in the entire humankind. Because the duality become multiplicity, and so for me the work of art has to be done between two people, two person, not only by one person, two person. These two person with two other person make another work. The 4 person with 8 person with 20 person produce another bigger work. But it is a bigger work of creation that transforms the imagination of what we need all together. We all together now we speak about sustainability, and it is what we need. It is something that we imagine can be solved. And so it is why this imagination is a common imagination that bring together of people, and the work of art include all the people that participate. And so it's not anymore a work of art of a person, for my work, but through the trinamic of the third paradise, it is the combination, it is the formula of the combination that everybody can use, combining the big project, the project that has to be done between 2, but between 4, between 6, between 20, between everybody.
Thank you, Michelangelo. You have often affirmed that education is fundamental for the future of humanity. Education can be seen as a non-violent direct action aimed at influencing lifestyles. But education takes time. Technological innovation also requires time. So, to not completely burden the new generations, what should we all be doing in practice today?
We are always more and more in the hurry. we don't want to take the time that we need to do things. We have to know that in the past, we have always been related with the seasons. The season, it takes time to produce food. It takes time to do anything. It takes time to produce a human being. It takes nine months in the stomach of the mother. The time is necessary, but we have not to lose time. we have to make time in profit, and not making the school, making the school the time of the education. It is a time. How many years take the education of a child to arrive to the maturity. It takes time. And so, but we have to start immediately when the child is small, is young, to immediately know what we can propose for a new world, not just learn what has been done, but and using what has been done in a way that it can be totally renewed the world. So it's the art has to bring this fantasy, the fantasy of the possibility into the practice, and to transform the fantasy of a new world in practice. So the connection of practice and imagination is something that we have to put into the two circles to have in the center to form in the center something that is new, that is created. We have to teach the creation as a practical way to work from when you are a child.
The price. Thank you. I have a question for Paolo now. Today, with this conference, we are launching 1+1 makes 3, Third Paradise Award. Award you worked on together with Isabelle Muller, present here, Simona Mazzitelli Lenders, and Saverio Teruzzi, present here, and we thanks the Swiss Foundation for UNHCR for their support. Award that joins and completes Cittadellarte's offer, joining 2 historical awards, such as the Minimum Prize and Visible. Can you tell us more about them and tell us the particularity of 1+1 makes 3, Third Paradise Award, please?
Right. Starting about 20 years ago, as I mentioned, we witnessed the variety and intensity of many art practices throughout the world, as I said, very many localities. So we began to focus in this school that we were talking about before on the methodologies. How do they do the way they do, the things they do? And then we said, okay, now we are collecting so many methodological approaches to the art in the sense that we were talking about before, art to change the world, really taking care of it. And we said, we should give an award. But we were very small and still are, like a private foundation. So we focused on the minimum award that could be given to the minimum step, the minimum brick, the minimum articulation of the connection between humans in order to do the things that we were talking about. And of course, we would identify this in the principle of 1 and 1 makes 3. Collaboration, working with somebody else, even better if she is from another world of yours, no? Another sector of activity. So there was the minimum prize, still continues, that is awarded to an existing project, but at the very beginning of its life. In the following years, we joined forces with Fondazione Zegna, that is based in Italy. It's an industry making wool. You know that Biella is the district of wool making manufacturing industry. And thanks to this collaboration, we could be more incisive, giving visibility and an award to projects that have already done some important parts of their career, but now they need a quantum leap. They need an extra jump to pass to another phase. And they need resources, and financial resources to do that. So that is the other award, you know. So that is at the beginning. This one is at the midterm of a process. And now with Simona and Isabel and Saverio and the rest of the company, we are focusing on the even earlier, like the embryonal stage, where the project is not there yet. It doesn't exist, but the commitment is there. The project is written down. Its impact is seen, explored, planned. I mean social impact, of course, in order for it to be tangible. That is just not only imaginary, as Michelangelo was saying before. So this 1 and 1 makes 3 award is exactly devoted to the first initial idea that you and someone else, that's once again 1 and 1 makes 3. Who is she, this someone else? If you are an artist or an art collective, she or they will be very specifically from science, from third sector, from even the industry, and so forth and so like. Design, social design, and so on. So it's a way to, again, put under the spotlight a very relevant, crucial moment in the life of art projects, where when they are born, but they cannot talk, they cannot walk, they need to really be accompanied for the very first steps. And so I would like to thank all of you, but also Saverio, Teruzzi, who has been involved in making this with Simona Mazzitelli and Isabel. If you, perhaps in the question time, want to add something, because I'm sure that I left out a lot of many important things. Thank you.
And when?
When?
Yes, when?
It is due to be active for next spring, so we will work all the coming months to the formulation and distribution and dissemination of the call, and then we hope to be able to launch it and have the first award in early spring next year.
Thank you. So, dear Michelangelo and Paolo, we are reaching the end of the allocated time, and now we will give time and space to questions from the audience. But do you want, before, to add something? A question, a perspective, a vision of the future? Michelangelo, would you like to add something?
I think that this prize, it can be helpful in order to give our artists the possibility to activate their creativity in connection with other people that are not artists from any category of the social life, and together produce a project that can be done with the money taken by the prize that they can win. So it's a competition of duality. It's a competition of the capacity of using the duality for projects that can be real projects. They can be projects where the artist is involved in industry, is involved in economy, is involved in textile, is involved in agriculture. It can be the artist involved in everything, having the possibility to work with somebody of that different sectors. But also, these people of different sectors, they can have the possibility of being involved in art. And together, they make something that is art and practical solution, and in some way can become enterprise. And this is the meaning of the project. So to give the possibility of realizing this interaction between art and all the different sectors of the society. And this it is also a way to develop what Paolo called la Demopraxia, to make practice this combination between people, but through art.
So, Paolo, do you want to
yeah, I could perhaps just say a few words on. I mentioned that it's really illuminating to see how many practices are already there wherever you are. But Demopraxia, then, what it does is it begins with a mapping of about 100 of these and bring them together into a venue, oftentimes an art venue. So the exhibition of the art of Demopraxia ends up being practical examples of taking care of the planet that one would have thought they had very little to do with art, unless you see art the way that Michelangelo has explained. Not far from here, Joseph Beuys, many years ago, also gave us a lot of hints of what sort of view can we have on art. Under such view, this multitude of actors can come together like a company of actors and play all together a real social theater. That is where the orientation from the United Nations comes in very important way, because we come together and say, okay, now what do we do? And we have a list of actions, and in a sort of forum, one of the things that we have learned to do, you know, the open space technology, working groups, plenary sessions. 30 years ago, very few people would know what I'm talking about. Now it has become sort of social grammar. We use it in many of our organizations. So we are growing into this art of working together as a demos, thanks to these tools and technology. So we come up with a list of actions, and then we take time for a year to put in place the actions that we have come up with. It's not actions that we have been given by a lawyer or a philosopher. It's all of us coming up with this. That is why it is demos. No? And this is something that is amazingly effective. And you may know that we are based in Biella, in the north of Italy, between Turin and Milan. Another myth what we want to establish, no, between these two Italian cities. And Biella has become Creative City UNESCO, thanks to all of what Cittadellarte has been working upon. One would have never expected that. So our success of the Demopraxia program is already there. A whole area, about 200,000 people, recognizing their future, not anymore only in the industry, as I said, wool, but also in culture and care for the planet.
Okay, crucial question. Could we say that it's a political project?
Yes, indeed. Politics is the new green, I used to say, meaning that nowadays the green is kind of mainstream. I feel that the artist practitioners, some of them we have also here, but definitely all the ones that we study and learn from, are extremely clear in their being political. Their aesthetics is political. We know how aesthetic and ethics are linked into a political realm, but also their take is extremely clearly political, as in taking care of the polis, taking care of how we live. So they will look at how we build our houses and how we allow people without house to gain access to those houses, as it happens in Texas with Rick Lowe, for example. Or they will look at how we eat, and we farm salmon, and through the salmon farming industry, we risk to affect in an unsustainable way the environment. So we switch to clams and mussels that clean up the water when you farm them. This has happened in Skye Island in Scotland, and the Tate Gallery has learned about it and invited the guys in their show. So there's lots of ways, but I don't want to take any more time to you. So if you want to know more, just let's have a talk later or visit our website.
Okay. So now, question from the audience. If someone has a question, would you like to ask something to Michelangelo or to Paolo here?
Hi, everybody. Waiting for the questions, I have just to present myself. I'm Saverio Teruzzi. I was named a lot of time today. And regarding the award, 1 + 1 makes 3, Third Paradise Award. We are looking for, as said Michelangelo and Paolo, for one artist, collective, a single artist, or whatever, that is putting together ideas with someone from whatever, but not another artist. This is really simple, but is a fundamental rule for the world. And from this, we are asking for a completely new production, because we have already in Cittadellarte something that speaks about a very good practice or a practice that is beginning now. This should be a completely new production, an idea that we want to finance. And for the times, I have to correct Paolo.
Thank you. Please, I knew it was going to happen.
Because we will launch the open call, international open call, at the end of September. And we want to close the open call for the end of January or maybe the first part of February, because we would like to stay here the next year with the winner. And our idea is also that also the winner, we want to promote all the people that will be in the final section, in the final range for the award. So just to clarify some point. And I would like to thanks, of course, Simona Mazzitelli and Isabel Müller, but also the Centre des Arts, Ecolint Centre des Arts, all the Ecolint, but also Anouk Foundation, UNHCR, Zurich Foundation, Kids Guernica and Espronceda Barcelona, Kids Guernica Tokyo, Espronceda Barcelona, Galleria Continua, that are all part of the committee, Giulia Bini, APFL Lausanne, and so if you have any question, I'm here with the microphone. So just raise the hand and I will arrive. Yes, I have a question.
Hello, I'm Alessandro from south of Italy. I will make the question in English. Maybe if you don't understand, I will switch in Italian. So the question is, which is the fault, the wrong, the role in this art? It means the fault, a wrong way, can be switched in art, and if is yes, how? Is it clear the question? No?
No, it's
The fault.
L'errore.
L'errore.
L'errore. Mistake, esatto. Mistake.
Forse in italiano?
Mistake.
I think that is for Michelangelo. Michelangelo, l'errore che ruolo ha per l'artista?
L'errore, the mistake, we cannot exclude mistakes, of course, but the concept of mistakes has not, they cannot make us worry to go on, because if we don't have the sense of the risk, we don't do anything of artistic. We know that the mistake is there, and it can arrive any moment. But we want to take a balance on the mistake. When we work in the street, we know how to work. We don't make the mistake of putting two feet on in the same time. We know how to balance the thing. But when we want to make a competition, we risk to make a mistake. We risk to not win. But we have to engage our best capacity to drive the chance, to drive the chance to the goal. So the mistakes is there, but we have not to be scared of the mistake. We know that the mistake is part of the two elements, success and mistake. They go on together, and between we made the creation.
Other question? Yes.
Hello, my name is Andrea from Italy. I will pose the question in English as well. So you've been explaining that 1 + 1 = 3 is going to be a new way of, is a new school that puts together different expertise, so different industries from art to different. So you, Maestro Pistoletto, have you been working with other, like touching other industries or being inspired by other industries? In order, was that the thought behind when you established this new idea, this new school?
Paolo rispondi.
She asked you, Maestro Pistoletto.
No, prendi tu, volevo chiedere.
No, she asked if you have worked already with the industry or with other fields outside of the art. Is that correct?
È stato influenzato da altre discipline al di fuori di quella artistica, e quindi questa è stata l'idea dalla quale nasce comunque questa nuova scuola di pensiero.
Non rispondi? Ah, rispondo io?
Sì.
Sono io? Ah, chiedi a me.
Io rispondo dopo, lei chiede a te. She asks you.
Ah, non ho capito. The problem for me from the beginning, it was how to use the freedom of the artist. The artist is free, is totally free. It is totally autonomous in his expression. But my freedom, it was not just related to the work of my individual expression. For me, the entire work, it was the subject of my art, but not just for painting or making a reproduction of the world as it was done in the past, when the artists were just reproducing the reality. For me, it was not anymore just reproduce, but to act in the reality. How to transform the reality as material for art. It is why any different subject, any different part of the of the human textile, it was part of this big project. Nothing excluded, nothing. So it is why the reproduction of the society, it became instead of reproduction, reconsideration, reconstruction, so recreation of the society. The society is made by all the different sectors. All the different sectors are present in my work.
Now I can also try an answer. Thank you. Well, I've been definitely influenced by the slow food movement. I think you are all aware of it. That has been able to have an actual impact on the way we live, the way we see, the myth of food, not only as pleasure, but as just and good for the planet. Also, one of the earliest exhibitions we had in Cittadellarte was, the title was Critique is Not Enough. And under that umbrella, we would find works and collaborative artworks between, again, artists and, for example, the Ethical Finance Organizations Italy. Ethical finance. So I joined Cittadellarte in 2000, and already in 2002, these exhibitions, exhibitions like this, would open up my understanding of the societal fabric. Artists cannot be kept inside their own small boxes. It's too bad for them and too bad for us. So these are ways. So collaborating with other areas of human activities allows for art to express, flourish, and even find commissions and market, which is not to be forgotten, but also allows the acknowledgement that creation, freedom, responsibility, although in the art world they find probably the maximum expression, they belong universally in the science world, in the entrepreneurial world, in the third sector, in the administrative and political care as well. So I think that it is a major, if not the most wonderful artwork we can do to co-create the world.
I'm sorry, but it's time.
It's time, yes. We continue.
So we have to thank everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator.
Thank you.